Hiya, and welcome back to Tennis Ace, the game that teaches us that apparently our younger brother is more charismatic than we are and is stealing all of our friends. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Fucking old man right now. I head inside the court area, placing my bags on one of the benches and taking a seat. I make sure to greet anyone I pass by before I start watching the officials and volunteers wiping down the court. It's good to do nothing in particular. If I focus my mind on it, it's a good way of letting it turn off. They soon finished what they were doing, giving the all clear for the match to start. In the meantime, it seems that my opponent had already arrived, so as I see him getting up from the other bench at the same time that I do. A stag of medium build that comes up to about my chin in height. He looks athletic, but still somewhat unremarkable. His build reminds me a little of Keiku's, though with slightly more body mass. Once we lock eyes, he immediately looks away, fixing his gaze on the floor. That is all I need to know about his current mind state. Nervous opponent, huh? Not that I can blame him. Being an unseeded player in these situations must be nerve-wracking. No one else knows about you. Probably no one else will be cheering for you. Wherever you go, it must always feel like playing on the away court. I feel a little sympathetic, but I try not to let that thought occupy my mind too much. At the end of the day, I still need to win my match, and feeling sorry for him won't make him feel better when he loses. The two of us take to the court as the umpire announces the duration of our warm-up session. We quickly start our own personal warm-up routines, with them inevitably ending on a short, low-effort rally. Passing the ball back and forth so we can get a feel for our rackets and our swings. Then, it's time. Players come up to the net. We do as directed. When I get closer to him, I can tell that he's just a tad bulkier than I initially assumed from a distance. Or at least, his chest sticks out more than I thought it did. I wonder if he's a power player like me. Good luck. May we have a good match. Yeah, same here. We quickly get our greetings out of the way. Hiya. Afterwards, the umpire pulls out the coin, asking for the stag to call heads or tails. As the coin lands back on the umpire's head, it is uncovered and shows that the stag had called it right. Like any reasonable player that isn't Keisuke, the boy decides to serve first, which I nod in understanding. I will be the one officiating this match. Let us start the round 1 match between Yuichi Michimiya and Akira Inunaki. Will the players please go to their positions? Inunaki? That's a strange name for a stag. Wait, probably not what I should be thinking of right now. I hop on my spot a few times. Once I feel ready, I clutch the racket firmly within both my hands, firmly placing my feet on the ground and taking my position. I have to start from a strong foundation. Keep my core engaged and prepared. Once the umpire gives the signal, I watch the stag close his eyes for a second. Once he opens them, he tosses the ball in the air, and a few hours later. At the end of the day, Coach rounds all of us up and into the bus so we can head back to the hotel. It's always a little shocking to see the end of day 1. When the competition starts, there are 168 athletes walking around, preparing themselves, playing against each other. 168 people along with their friends and families, hoping to progress in the competition, hoping that the next match won't be their last one. And by the end of day 1, that number is cut by half. 64 matches took place today. 64 people had to go home. Whoever it is wherever it is that home is for them, with the knowledge that they were knocked out on the first round of the competition. Hiya. It's hard not to feel a little bad for them. But, okay everyone, I know you're all tired and sweaty and want to be able to rest, but I need you all to be back here in the lobby in an hour. We're going to celebrate all of you advancing to the second round tomorrow. Osu! Luckily, all 7 of us managed to finish strong on day 1. My opponent started off stronger than I thought he would, but he quickly fell apart before the end of the first set. As a result, I managed to close the game out in straight sets. Of the 7 of us, 4 managed to win in straight sets. Since we had a whole friggin' bus to ourselves, Coach allowed friends and family to ride back with us to the hotel, which was really nice of him. I'm glad you all managed to get through to the next round. Feel silly for worrying so much now? Yes! I wish someone would have told me that the first round would be this easy. We assumed you knew, but for what it's worth, we appreciate the concern. Boo! Tomorrow we have rounds 2 to 4. If you want to worry, I'd start then. Quarterfinals. I'll finally be able to show that stupid dog a thing or two. You really do carry a grudge, huh? After being discounted like that, you bet I do. He might not even make it that far. The guy beat the number 3 player in the competition. I doubt he'll be dropping out that easily. Yeah, but just don't get ahead of yourself, Keikun. If you focus so much on him, you might get careless. The last thing we want is for you to be beaten before you can reach the quarters. I know that! You do have a history of letting your temper get the better of you. I don't do that. Anymore? Aki pats the hair on the back, a gesture that is far too amusing to see. Keikun really is getting comforted by a literal 12-year-old. Give me a second. My phone is buzzing in my bag. I reach inside, grabbing my phone to check who could be messaging me at this time. I am greeted to a message from Shoichi, making me smile as soon as I see it. Call me when you get to the hotel. Okay. I suppose he doesn't know that we're already here after all. I wonder how surprised he'd be if I called him right away. Actually, I think I'm gonna head to my room and get ready to take a bath if you guys don't mind. Huh? But Jun-san and I have to leave soon. Can't you Ow! That's okay, we'll see you tomorrow, Yuichi-san. I need to go talk to the others anyway. Make sure everyone is doing okay and feeling confident for their matches tomorrow. Isn't that our coach's job? I grab my things, quickly heading upstairs to my room while I'll have a little more privacy to be on my phone. As soon as I'm inside, I make sure to lock the door behind me, not wasting a second before I call Shoichi. Damn, that was fast. Miss me that much? For his part, he doesn't waste a second before picking up, immediately cracking a joke that makes me smile so hard it almost hurts. You wish. I just happen to be free to come to the phone right now, that's all. Oh, ouch, I see how it is, haha. Well, either way, congratulations. What? Skipping right to congratulations? Are you just assuming I won? You won't even ask first to make sure. What if I choked horribly and lost my match? Bet you'd feel pretty awkward then. Shut up, you dweeb. I checked the results online before texting you. I'm not a moron. I'm not so sure about that. Evil. But anyway, how was it today? I saw you won pretty handedly. But I know the score doesn't always tell all. I thought the guy would have been a bigger challenge than he turned out to be. He kind of self-destructed halfway through the first set. I can imagine. What about Saichan and Urushihara? I saw that they won too. Actually, I saw that everyone from our school won their matches. How's the mood over there? People are confident. We got to the hotel not too long ago. Coach told us to take the hour to recover for a bit before we go celebrate it. Celebrate, huh? I wonder if he's taking you guys out for dinner. I somehow doubt it. This trip is probably expensive enough as is. Yeah, but your coach isn't the one paying for it. True. I hear Shoichi chuckling softly on the other end of the line. We stay silent for a few seconds, just enjoying the feeling of each other's company, even if it's limited to a phone call. Speaking of a trip, I already confirmed with Dad that I'll be allowed to go over there tomorrow in the afternoon. But not the morning, huh? Sorry, I really did try, you know. I know, don't sweat it. Last thing I want is for things to get awkward between Shoichi and Takahiko-san because of me. Alright, I will be right back. And I'm back. And how was your day? I'm assuming you managed to finish all the overdue assignments? I did. It was a little close, but I managed to get it all done before leaving during the afternoon. Although I made the mistake of mentioning during the student council meeting this morning that I'd be absent this afternoon so I could work on those. Why was it a mistake? You think my VP needed any more of an excuse to be on my ass about taking breaks? He kept droning on and on about how this is proof that I'm taking on too much. Ah, right, I forgot about Kika-kun. To be fair to him, he's kinda right. Don't you start too! Okay, I'll shut up about it. If only because it'd be very easy for you to cut the call if I started annoying you about it. At this rate, I think they might end up barreling themselves inside the student council room and locking me out of it. That's not too bad of an idea, actually. I might mention it to Kika-kun at some point if he hasn't thought of it already. It'd be a bit of added irony that I only thought of it because of Shoichi. Why do I not like the silence on your end? I don't know. You're too suspicious sometimes. I'm just trying to think of a way to steer the conversation away from the awkwardness. Fair enough. Sorry. I should probably put a pin on that idea until Shoichi is more receptive. Probably best not to get him to cause a scene at school. I'll need to think of a time to have a serious conversation with him about it, though. I wish I could stay on the phone with you longer, but I really should get going. I have less than an hour to take a bath and get dressed, and we both know there's almost no way I'd be able to dry my fur in that little time. I get it. You're probably the long person with thick, long fur in your group. Go before you leave everyone else waiting. Hiya. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. I love you. See ya. Good night. Ah! Man, I know Shoichi said he was patient and didn't mind waiting, but even I'm starting to feel a little bad for taking this long to say it back. When I get back home, I'm going to need some time to think long and hard about my feelings so I can give him some kind of better answer. Responding to I love you with Sia is just too depressing. But first, I need a bath. Not that the embarrassment will fade though, since I'm pretty sure Keikun and Hayato-kun are going to be in there as well. This is my least favorite part of traveling to competitions. June 30th. Somehow managed to drag my drowsy ass out of bed and down to the hotel lobby almost first thing in the morning. Since Keikun wasn't in the room when I woke up, I expected to see him down here, maybe even with Saya. But he's nowhere to be found. Actually, I can't see any of my schoolmates in here at all. Weird. Am I really the first one to wake up? It is a little early. What time did I get up yesterday? 6 a.m.? And Keikun had already been up for at least an hour by then. Well, it's 5:45 right now. Maybe one somewhere else? That much would be fine, but even Saya-chan isn't here. Where is everyone? Where is everybody? Excuse me, has anyone from my group gone out by any chance? Yes, the hair you've been sharing a room with went out a bit under half an hour ago. He was wearing a hoodie and running shoes, so I assume he went out for a jog. Makes sense. Has anyone else come downstairs? Not so far, no. Alright, thanks again. I guess I'll wait around until everyone else gets up. Of course, feel free to relax in the lounge for as long as you need. I nod at the vixen manning the front desk today, pulling out my phone and making my way to the sitting area without giving it much thought. It's far too early for me to try to message someone, and I don't really feel like going for a jog like Keikun did. In fact, I would have stayed in bed if I hadn't been feeling so restless. Guess even I'm not completely immune to the tense feeling you get during competitions. Maybe it's because this is my last one? I let everyone else's constant babbling and sentimentality about it being my last time get in my head. Shoichi also tends to get up pretty early, doesn't he? Maybe I could shoot him a message. At least to ask him what time he'll be coming by. But at the same time, I don't want to risk waking him up if he isn't awake yet. God damn it, Yuichi, why do you have to be so indecisive? Unable to make my goddamn mind, I end up mindlessly swiping around on my phone, browsing the internet looking for some kind of distraction to break the tedium of waiting. At the very least, it beats being left alone with my thoughts and anxieties. Today's the second day of competition, but the level is still quite low for me, at least for my first round of the day. Keikun should be playing against Yuya-kun today. Regardless of which of them wins, it at least promises to be more interesting than playing against a bunch of no-name players with barely any kind of record to their names. I don't even know if I could pick one of them I would prefer playing against. They're both such a pain in the ass as opponents. If I could skip all the way to the finals, I would, especially since I'm feeling a lot more confident about taking Tanabe this time than I have been in, God, a while. Even though I've been playing against him in the last few years, I felt nothing other than anxiety and a low level of dread. To think that I feel a little excited about it after so long, I almost forgot what that was like. On an impulse, I decided to check my messages, scrolling down the list looking for the last time I talked to Tanabe. It takes a little while to find it, considering how far down our conversation was. Hard to think it's been almost 3 years. Looking these up is a little nostalgic. It's weird to think that I didn't know the last time we chatted and joked around as friends would really be the last time. Every now and again, I find myself going over these and wanting to reach out, but I always decide not to for one reason or another. The truth is, I'm probably scared of what would happen if I did. It's not like we haven't talked at all since then. There would be some idle chit-chat or matches, but it would never amount to anything other than small talk. At this point, I'm convinced that even if we did decide to try and be friends again, we would have no idea how to talk to each other. I definitely don't feel like I'm even close to being the same person that I used to be back in middle school. Besides, even if I didn't consider that, there's a fact that the reason we've drifted apart has never been resolved. We had that one fight years ago, and then... I really need to stop doing this. I just keep torturing myself every time I do. Not that talking to myself is any better, though I will admit that vocalizing it definitely makes it feel more real. I really do need to stop, otherwise I'll spin myself in circles again. It's been a few months since I've gone into one of these spirals. When even was the last time? February? March? I don't really remember. Unable to get the thoughts of Tanabe out of my head, I decide to lean further back into my chair, doing my absolute best to try and fuse myself with it. Or at least, I'm sure that's what it looks like I'm doing from the outside. Man, I'm such a mess. Yuichi-san? My ears quickly flicker at the direction of the familiar deep baritone voice calling out to me, soon to be followed by the rest of my head. I see Keisuke standing a few steps behind me, looking down at me with a hint of worry in his eyes. Wait! Keisuke has a deep voice? He has a deep voice? I have been giving him the wrong voice this whole time. Alright, I'll I'll give him a deep voice right now, but then he's going back to his yes kind of voice. Is everything okay? You're up quite early. Oh god, that sounds wrong! That just sounds wrong! That sounds so wrong! You do know I could say the same thing about you, right? What were you doing out of the hotel before 6 a.m.? I was feeling restless, so I went out for a quick jog. Careful you don't end up tiring yourself out before the competition. I somehow doubt that could happen. If anything, I feel like I have too much energy. Heh, been there, although it's been a while since I've gone through that feeling of being restless and uneasy. I decided to omit the part about me having come down here this early in the morning because I'm also feeling a little restless. Even if I'm going through something similar, I know my own problems are orders of magnitude behind Keiku's right now. To me, even if I dropped out of the competition right now, I'd still be qualified for the All Japan. No matter how you look at it, I'm in a privileged position right now. In fact, my restlessness stems from a desire to play. It comes from looking forward to facing Tanabe again. I doubt it is the case for Keikun. If anything, I'm willing to bet that the thoughts go through his mind right now are less, I can't wait to play, and more, I need to not be eliminated today. Of course, there's always the chance that I'd be way off base, but I don't know. Knowing Keikun, I'd put my odds at around 80 to 85% that I'm right. How do you deal with it? Honestly, I'd say you got it pretty spot on already. Get yourself moving to burn off that extra nervous energy. Not much else you can do other than having that. Figured. Worth a shot, though. With a loud sigh, Keisuke plopped himself down in the armchair across from me, resting his elbows on his knees and cupping his face with both hands in an adorably overdramatic fashion. I'll refrain from commenting on it because I don't want to be on the other end of the dirty looks he'd shoot my way if I did. But man, this shit's funny. You'll be fine. Today's shouldn't be so bad. Easy for you to say. You're not the one that has to play against that smug, annoying, overgrown chihuahua today. It takes all of my willpower to hold back from laughing upon hearing Keisuke refer to that as an overgrown chihuahua. Somehow, the mental image is just too funny for me. He certainly yips like one. That guy definitely never shuts up. So you're nervous about it now? Where did all of yesterday's bravado go? As someplace that baseless confidence always goes. It washed down the river as soon as the adrenaline settled down and reason returned to my brain. That's a very poetic way of saying you've lost your nerves. Those are some awfully brave words for someone that sleeps in the same room as me. Well, yeah, it's not like you're going to do anything to me while I sleep. That would be a crime. Only if I get caught. Work can be outsourced after all. Okay, this is sounding a lot more menacing than I originally intended, and it's freaking me out a little. Alright there, you can say you're joking now. Please? But am I? For the love of God, man! Say psych right this instant! Okay, I take it back. I won't tease you over it anymore. Good boy. Now I kinda want Yakun to beat you. You're just as smug as he is, but at least he can claim ignorance of how he comes across. Jeez, I really don't need to fear for my life this early in the morning. Nah, a healthy dose of panic and dread is good for the metabolism. Take it from me, I go through it every day. I can't tell whether you're joking or not, and that terrifies me more than anything. Who knows? Jesus Christ, this man does not play around. We went from 0 to 100 real fucking fast. While I struggle to come up with some kind of response to the hair that continues staring ever so smugly at me, the sound of footsteps and loud sighing echoes from down the hall. When I turn around to look, I see Saya making her to us from the dining room with the most defeated look on her face. Hell, she's dragging her feet. I can count on my fingers how many times I've seen her doing that. Good morning? Is everything okay? I notice that she's carrying a single croissant in her hands, which she bites into before plopping herself down on the seat right next to mine, making me readjust myself on the couch for a bit of extra personal space. I'm sorry, what? She said, there's nothing good left to eat. Fuck! Saya nods absent-mindedly while chewing on her stale croissant from yesterday. I can hear that there's no crisp left in it whatsoever. You can understand that? Of course. I've known her for so long. I might as well have Saya translation software installed in my brain at this point. Bah! Saya cries out in gibberish while munching on the last of her food, leaning over and letting herself plop down on my lap with a little more than a muted thud. What the? What did she say now? She said, ah! Oh. Boy, I haven't seen Saya like this in a while. Moody, sure. Angry, absolutely. Sad, every now and again. But clingy? What's up this time? You're not sick again, are you? I reach for Sai's head on my lap, gently petting the fur on her forehead with my fingers and proceeding to softly pet her. What the hell is going on? Have you never seen Sai like this? No. I guess it would make sense. Last time was Morisaki Senpai moved away and they broke up. But that was the end of our freshman year. It's no surprise you weren't there to see it. Though I guess there was also the time when she got food poisoning in Hong Kong. But wait, that was also in our freshman year, wasn't it? Stop talking about me like I'm not here. Well, you're not contributing much to the conversation, are you? Sai protests once more in some gibberish that I'm pretty sure was never intended to be a word. In response, I just continue to stroke her fur, trying to get her to quiet down a little bit. Yeah. Or, well, maybe quiet isn't the right word. If anything, she's too quiet right now. Whatever. Are you sure you're okay? You don't have food poisoning again, do you? You were eating a croissant just now, and those have a ton of butter. I'll be fine. A little bit of butter won't kill me. I'm just hungry. I suppose that's better than the alternative. Remember when you and Morisaki Senpai broke up? I just spent 3 hours stroking your head like this. Excuse me, what? It wasn't that long. Yeah, it was. Sai is a woman of many moods. Most of them can be a little bit of a pain in the ass to deal with. Gloomy Saya, though. She's kind of like a cat that wants to crawl into a corner whenever she feels sad or sick. It doesn't happen often, but since she's usually the type to bounce back real quick. But when it does, Shoichi and I end up having to take turns pampering her like this. It was endearing when we were kids, but actually, no. This happens rare enough that it's a little bit endearing. Breakfast will be served in half an hour, so you can eat then, can't you? I guess. Mizuguchi-san, are you sure that you're okay? I'm worried. She's fine. She gets like this sometimes. She just needs some attention before she can bounce back. Unless she's sick. Things can get a bit ugly in that case. I said stop talking about me like I'm not here. Then maybe you should consider contributing to the conversation, Seriously, what's going on? This isn't just about food, is it? Maybe. I don't know. You don't know? I feel... Sai makes an exaggerated gesture with her hands to emphasize her point, groaning quite loudly after and burying her face once again in my legs. But what's fouet? No clue. That's a new entry to the dictionary. Oh. Is fouet supposed to be like meh? You feel meh? No! I feel fouet! Yeah, I have no idea what that means. I don't either! I try my best to keep a straight face throughout Sai's little tantrum. Not because I'm weirded out or anything, but because the whole thing is far too funny. On the other hand, Keikun seems to be struggling to keep a straight face for a whole other reason. Don't worry about it so much, Keikun. You get used to it. I don't even know what it is. Hey, Sai-chan? What? How are you feeling about your matches today? You're not feeling insecure or anything like that, are you? What? No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. Strikeout, huh? Let's see, what else could it be? Oh, maybe... Hey, Sai-chan. Could it be that what you're feeling right now is melancholy? Huh? At the mention of the word melancholy, Sai straightens up on my lap, turning her face toward me. She looks at me in the eye while I continue to stroke her head, almost urging me to continue. It's our senior year. Once we're done with the Kanto regionals, all that will be left for us will be the All-Japan Junior. And then, that's it. This is the last one for us before we graduate. Maybe you're feeling a little blue because of that? All at once, Sai-chan sits up staring at me wide-eyed. Her movements are so sudden that I even see Keikun flinching from the corner of my eye. She points a finger at me, gawking in shock and stuttering quite noticeably. That's it! That right there! I didn't know what it was! Are you serious? Sai-chan leans back on the couch, though thankfully without dropping down to my lap this time. She crosses her arms, looking away from Keikun with a mixture of embarrassment and frustration. I have to admit, she's a little bit adorable when she gets like this. Get off my back! I never felt like this before. How was I supposed to know what it was? After trying and failing to come up with words for several seconds, Keikun finally gives up altogether, hiding his face on his hands and stifling a loud groan in the process. Sorry. I still have no idea what just happened. I don't judge you. I've been dealing with size tantrums for 12 years, and I only barely understand it myself. Wait. If even Mizuguchi-san couldn't put a name on what she was feeling, how are you able to do it, Yuichi-san? Because I'm feeling the same way. Whoa, you are? I thought I was the only one! I thought I was immune to this kind of thing. but I've been feeling restless since I woke up this morning. I even woke up earlier than usual because of it. It's why I came downstairs so goddamn early, too. Ah, that explains it. Keisuke mutters quietly to himself, acting as if he'd been wondering about it the entire time. I know I'm not a morning person, but you don't need to act so surprised that I got up early. Sheesh. I guess even we're not made of steel. It's probably normal for seniors to feel like this. Today's the last day of June. We're officially past the halfway mark of the year. And while our school year may last until March, it's hard not to get sentimental when you think about it. Yeah, I didn't even realize that's what it was. I was up late chatting with Kana-chan, and I guess I was hit by the realization we wouldn't see each other again after the end of this year. Makes sense. Kana is a junior. We'll graduate and go out of the country to pursue our careers while she'll stay here in the tennis club. Right, I was about to parrot back Sai and I's plan to go to the US. I remembered the offer I'd gotten from that one college in Canada, the one I hadn't replied to yet, or even talked to Sai-chan about it. Unable to bring myself to say I'd go to the US and feeling guilty about not talking to Sai about the offer, I quickly corrected myself, hoping that she wouldn't notice. Yeah, we'll be in completely different places in our life in less than a year's time. Thankfully, it seems to have worked. Good thing Sai-chan gets a little distracted when she's in one of her moods. She's way too good at sniffing stuff out otherwise. I swear, she's like one of those truffle-hunting pigs. Except for feelings. Yeah, I can see how it would be a bit emotional to think about. That's... Keisuke fidgets on his seat, looking between Sai and I a few times while making exaggerated thinking noises. When that is enough to get our attention, he clears his throat instead, staring expectantly at the two of us. What? Do you also get sentimental when you think about how I will stay in Japan after you two graduate? As soon as we hear his question, Sai and I both sigh loudly and in unison, making the hare's eyes go wide. What? You won't? These are two completely different things, Kei-kun. But you just talked about getting all melancholic because you won't see Kana-san once you graduate, since he's a junior. Well, I'm a junior too, so... Yeah, but Kana-chan is a school friend. She might be a good school friend, but she's still a school friend. Meaning, a school friend is someone you text to catch up with every now and again. But otherwise, isn't that a big a part of your life? You're part of our group. You're one of our closest friends. You're going to be a part of our lives regardless, even if we move away. Yeah, you think that distance is all it takes to make people cut contact? What exactly do you think will happen once we move away? Do you think I'll no longer talk to Aki? That we'll no longer talk to Shoichi? That's not really the same. Why not? Because Yurata is his boyfriend and your childhood friend. Akiyoshi-kun is his little brother, and you've known him since he was a baby. You guys' relationships go way further back than with me. That doesn't really matter? Sounding completely unconvinced, Kei-kun leans back on his chair, seemingly choosing to look away from the two of us and staying silent. Aw, come on, don't be like that. Yeah, you're making way too big a deal out of this. We're seniors. We're entitled to be a little sentimental. Yeah, I don't get sentimental over the idea of leaving you, because I never once thought that you and I wouldn't talk anymore after we graduated. Wait, did I already... I guess. Uh-oh, now he's sulking. I didn't know Kei-kun was this sensitive, or is it just that he's insecure? Maybe he's in a bit of a bad mood? I wouldn't blame him. He's clearly been stressed out and nervous from the moment I first saw him. During long competitions like these, especially ones where you're away from home, having to travel and stay in an unfamiliar place, all of that can serve as a major stressor. So while I absolutely think that he's being ridiculous here, I keep those thoughts to myself and instead try my best to be comforting. It's the truth. I don't know any other ways for us to say it. There is a distinction between a good friend and a friendly acquaintance. Yeah, someone you're friends with because you see each other often and you have somewhat similar interests, but there isn't any super strong connection or anything. Other people are different. Yeah, I get it. Can we talk about something else? And our attempts at being comforting have completely and utterly failed. God damn it. Something else? Sure, how about, hey, I'm really excited to watch your last match of the day today. Oh yeah, you're playing against that Yuya guy, right? If I get to the quarterfinals, yeah. I don't think there's any chance of you losing in the next round. You don't know that. Upsets happen. I guess? Jesus, how do I even talk to him when he's like this? Come on, Kei-kun, stop sulking. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Yeah, that's it. Sai-chan can talk him down. Go, Sai-chan. You can do it, Sai-chan. Can I just point out that you showed up out of nowhere sulking and pouting and clinging to Yuichi-san? In public, I might add. And I at no point told you you were making a big deal out of nothing. I guess you've got a point there. What? No! Don't give him to him that easily. Fight! Struggle! Show him who's boss! Make him your bitch! I don't want to deal with Kei-kun sulking all day like this. It's way too awkward. Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm a complete and total wuss. But still, you can't tell me you're at least not a little bit excited. Come on, you spent weeks talking about how you'd hoped you'd get to play against him again so you could get your revenge. I guess I did say that. And you've improved a lot over the past few weeks. You're a completely different player than you were last time, and even then, you only lost by a little bit. I guess that is also true. You should be excited. This is your chance to show him who's boss, especially after yesterday's respect. You're not just going to take it lying down, are you? Heh, of course not. I'm not so wimpy that I'll let him get away with talking trash right to my face. There we go. You're right. I shouldn't be getting all in my head like this. I have every reason to be confident in myself. Of course you do. You've been crushing it so far. Both of your victories yesterday were super comfortable. Heh, thank you, Saya-san. I appreciate it. Huh. I guess killing them with kindness really does work sometimes. Color me impressed. Well done, Saya. Well, I, for one, am excited to watch your match. I'm lucky that there won't be as much overlap between us like there was yesterday. There won't? How do you... Yuichi-kun will have the first match of the day on Court 1 at the same time I will be playing the first match of Court 3. I'll also have the sixth match in Court 4 during the afternoon, while Yuichi has the fifth in Court 2. You'll have the third match in Court 5 and the seventh and final match in Court 8. What? How do you... I did tell you yesterday that she's the type to memorize all this stuff, didn't I? But down to that much detail? I'm pretty awesome, aren't I? You sure are something. Keisuke sighs, shaking his head with a complicated look on his face. Then again, I can't imagine him being upset or anything since he does have a smile on his face. How many times will I have to tell you before you finally trust me on this? I know Saya-chan well. I know, but still, that's some seriously good memory, and I do tend to pride myself on my ability to memorize without relying on mnemonics. Memorization isn't that hard. We are talking about the girl that has 1,400 different kanji memorized by the time she was 8. What? How do they even teach that many kanji in elementary school? They do not. I think that's about as much as you'd expect from a high school student, I think. I mean, I just learned a bunch of them because it seemed fun at the time. I did get bored of it eventually. Just out of curiosity, how many do you know right now? I don't know. 2,200 or so. Why? That's so many. That's more than I know. And I had to learn a bunch because of my family. Sai is a force of nature. What about you, Yuichi-san? How many do you know? Me? No idea. I don't really care enough to keep count. Why? Oh, thank God. Don't tell me you're feeling competitive over it now. No. I don't know. What's it to you? I snort, shaking my head and looking away to try and contain the urge to laugh. That is so petty. My God, he's like a kid. At least he's not sulking anymore, but man, what a dork. Careful, keep this up and you're going to end up turning into Shoichi. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Into Yurata? What do you mean? When we were kids, Shoichi-kun kept trying to compete with us over everything. Granted, it was mostly with Yuichi-kun, but he did challenge me for some really silly things. Like dunking our heads in a bucket and seeing who can hold their breath the longest. Or who can climb the highest on an old cedar tree we had in our old school that went all the way to the 3rd story. Or who can spit the farthest. Which, just in case you're wondering, all me. You're 18 years old and a girl. You sure you want to brag about being the one that could spit the farthest? A win's a win! Get off my ass! Aye, ma'am. I hadn't thought about this stuff in a while, though weird to remember it like this. I guess the most random stuff can jog memories we'd forgotten. Shoichi did try to challenge us a whole lot back when we were still kids. All the way up until we turned 9 or so, and he still had that little personality problem of his. It's a good thing he mellowed out with time, but I simply cannot imagine Yurata doing any of these things. You two I can kind of see, but Yurata? Everybody's had a childhood. No matter how serious you are as an adult, we were all kids once. Some of us still are at heart. Don't talk about yourself like that, Yuichi-kun. It's you. I was talking about you. Nah, not possible. Without even thinking, I move on automatic, reaching for Sai's cheek, pinching and twisting it. What are you doing? As soon as I realize what I'm doing, I let go right away, stifling an urge to laugh while I do my best to smile apologetically. Oops, sorry, I didn't even think about it. I'm shocked you managed to go through with that with no fear of death. That's what I used to do when we were kids. I guess the whole reminiscing plus dealing with Saya while she was moody kind of brought it to my mind without even realizing. What? I forgot how much this used to hurt. Sorry. Saya painfully rubs her cheek, scooching a bit farther away from me in the process. Although I don't think I pinched her that hard, I still feel a little guilty from doing it all in the first place. We're not kids anymore. We have a lot more strength nowadays. This stuff that used to be cute when we were little can actually hurt someone nowadays. It's a lesson I had to learn after I started going through puberty, and one I wish Sai-chan would learn at some point, since it really hurts when she hits me. Granted, it's usually my fault for intentionally setting her off in the first place, but still. Jeez, I hope my cheek doesn't end up swelling up or anything. It was a pinch, I doubt it would swell. We'll see about that. I feel like I just got transported to some kind of alternate reality where I don't actually know the people right in front of me. Oh, grow up, everybody has a past. Did I really see it right? Yuichi-san just pinched her cheek? Are you listening to me? Hey! Sai fuck! Sai snaps her fingers in front of Keikun's face to try and get his attention, yet he continues to look completely lost in thought. It seems that in our reliving of our childhood habits, we somehow managed to break him for some reason. I let myself sink further back into my seat, pulling out my phone and going back to browsing my old messages while tuning out the sound of Sai and Keisuke doing their thing. Eventually, I land on my conversation with Shoichi, and a smile comes to my face as I read the last message he sent me last night. Reading again helps to dispel some of my earlier lingering unease. Sometime later. Today, Coach made sure to have us arrive a little earlier than yesterday at the tournament's venue, something about wanting to avoid the hectic traffic of buses and players arriving for the competition. Even if the second day has half as many players left, it is still hectic. Hell, he even went for asking the hotel to serve breakfast half an hour earlier so we could eat something before leaving. Mostly because without the entrance ceremony that we had on the first day, the matches would be starting earlier today. Sadly, however, it seems he wasn't the only one to have that thought, so we ended up being stuck in traffic inside the bus for over 20 minutes just a few streets away from the venue. Never before had I seen a crocodile's tail thrashing around that much, and I certainly hope to never see it again either. Pretty sure I'd suffer from internal bleeding if he hit me with that thing. As soon as we get out of that driving death machine, Sai-chan leans against it, sighing loudly and, in my opinion, overdramatically. Finally! If I'd be stuck in that bus for another minute with your tapping foot and Coach's thrashing tail, I would have gone insane. Sorry about that. I was a little nervous, that's all. It's fine. I just needed to get out of that bus. Oof, that hits the spot. The rabbit raises both arms in the air, stretching herself for what feels like quite a long time, all the while making loud groaning sounds. The part that's most startling, however, is when we hear something pop. Did you just pop your back? Yeah, why? You keep doing that and you'll be needing back braces by the time you're in your 30s. Will not! Shut up! I ma'am. And stop calling me that! That's the second time today. Oh, Captain, my You finished that sentence and you're a dead man. Gotcha! I'm gonna go stretch my legs a little bit. I can barely feel them. The bus was too cramped for me. What? You're the smallest one. Hey! Without giving me a backward glance, Sai walks away from us, heading toward an area with some shrubbery on the other side of the street and proceeding to do stretches away from us. You sure are brave. Huh? Me? How come? Trying to use a line from one of Mizuguchi-san's favorite movies against her. You sure are brave. Oh, that. I have my moments. Whatever you say, but you said it yourself this morning. She's on edge today. You want to keep messing with her? It's your funeral. It'll be fine. So long as I'm as far away from you when it happens, then sure. You really have no faith in me whatsoever, do you? I've witnessed you pinching her today. Can you blame me? Yes? What's that got to do with anything? For someone so smart, you get hung up on the strangest things sometimes. I think the coach might call us soon, so I'm gonna go get my bags out of the bus. We're kinda late on schedule. It'll be fine. We still got here 30 minutes before matches start. Yes, and we need to sign in, get changed, warm up. You have the first match of the day. Don't you think you ought to have a little more sense of urgency? How about we try to enjoy ourselves a little bit here? There's no need to make a whole thing out of it. Enjoy ourselves? This is a competition, not a tour of some kind of holistic museum. A holistic what now? Exactly. Keikun groans, reaching with his left hand to rub the bridge of his nose and shaking his head sideways in an over-the-top display of exasperation. And never mind, I'm going to go take a walk too. But I try to protest, but the hair quickly walks past me and an all-too-soon callback to Sai's earlier gesture. Right, I guess Sai-chan isn't the only one that's on edge today. I decide to shrug it off and ignore the sigh of my friend's sanity slowly being chipped away, instead electing to go on my phone and check my messages. Aw, we love you too, Shoichi. Shoichi messaged me about an hour ago letting me know he was on his way to class. I'm still a little bummed out that he couldn't come during the morning, but what can I do? I'd rather sulk in silence than tell him how I'm feeling and make him feel guilty. I'd just be a shit boyfriend if I did that. He didn't mention that when he would be arriving, which also makes me a tad anxious if I'm being honest. Oh, okay. He said he'd be coming in the afternoon, but since I have the earliest time slots for both my morning and my afternoon match, I worry that I'll already be done by the time he gets here. Part of the reason I was so anxious on the bus was precisely because I was worrying about that. Kind of surprises me how much it got to me not having Shoichi around yesterday. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind going a few days without seeing each other if it's necessary. I'm not going to flip out from it or anything, but if I'm having something this important going on, I kind of want him around for it. That's not bad, right? I eventually shoved my phone back into my pocket. If I let myself keep getting distracted like this all day, I'm going to end up messing someone up. I just know it. Okay, yeah, my multitasking skills are not the best. I quickly grab my bags, feeling thankful that I don't have that many with me. Just thinking of how many Keisuke brought makes me wince. I wouldn't want to be the one carrying all that. I look around, eventually spotting the two on the other side of the road, although they seem to be separated from each other. Sai-chan is chatting with some of the other girls from our school. On the other hand, Keikun seems to not be doing much at all. Actually, is he walking around in circles? Do you really need to take the expression take a walk that literally? I get that everyone deals with their stress in different ways, but come on. Deciding not to bother either of them lest my head ends up being bitten clean off, I head for the front desk to get my registering for the day over with. After all, if they can stretch their legs, then so can I. It's not like we're glued at the hip or anything. A few minutes later, once registration was out of the way, I quickly headed inside the main building, looking around to see who'd be around at this time. Though I don't really talk to many of them, I do recognize a lot of the faces. After all, you can't gravitate around the same people for years and not at least memorize that much. Granted, I did used to talk to them every now and then. Once upon a time, that is. Guess I've become a lot less social over the last few years. That's something Sai and Shoichi have been on my ass about since we started high school. Of course, like a good stubborn person, I pretend not to know what they're talking about. It's not always on purpose, though. Denial is just a hell of a powerful thing. But I wasn't even able to admit this much to myself until a little while ago, so I'll be taking this as progress on my part. It's a lot easier to recognize people after the first day. Most of the unknown players have already been eliminated at this point, so those who stick around tend to at least be somewhat recognizable. Reach for my phone as soon as I feel a buzz in my pocket. At least that was painless. I'm not actually getting changed at the moment, but I'd rather go do that than have to head outside and stand in line again. At least if I say I'm getting changed, Coach won't get on my ass to join them right away. Still, since I don't want to be exposed as a liar, I quickly head for the bathroom to get this out of the way as soon as possible. I quickly put my bag down on the counter next to the sink, pulling out my tennis clothes and starting to undress myself. Do I need to pull up the sensor? I'm pulling it up. Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. However, just as I'm taking off my shirt, I hear the unmistakable sound of gagging coming from one of the stalls. I turn around right away, surprised by it since I thought I was the only person inside. The toilet flushes, and after a few seconds, I hear the bolt unlatching from the other side of the door. Hi, bitch. The person on the other side who, to my horror, I instantly recognize, steps outside while staring at his feet. He walks 2 steps before lifting his head, immediately locking eyes with me and freezing in place. I watch his eyes widening in horror as recognition flickers through them, while his mouth goes slack. Oh! Fuck it, I don't care. We stand there for a few seconds, me a little less dressed than I would have liked, having just slid down my shorts when he walked out before he finally clears his throat. Hey there, it's Yuichi-san. Man, I must be really lucky to run into you again so soon, huh? Akita tries flashing his usual smile, but after hearing what I heard and seeing the way he's reacting, it doesn't take me long to piece things together. It also doesn't help that the first thing he does is walk to the farthest sink, intentionally keeping his distance from me. He opens the tap, washing his face, and then trying to stealthily get some water in his mouth to wash it off. If this weren't so painfully awkward, I would have laughed at how obvious he's being. Yeah, I guess so. What about you? Is everything okay? He freezes again, letting the water run down the sink without moving. Uh-huh? Why do you ask? You can't even maintain eye contact with me? Man. Just thought I'd ask. It must be pretty stressful being here, right? This is your first regional regional tournament in this category and everything. That's gotta be a lot of pressure. Yuya-kun remains silent, staring fixedly at the water flowing out of the sink. After a longer period of silence than I feel comfortable with, he finally moves again, shutting off the water and drying his face with some paper towels. As he walks past me, he stops for just a moment. I'd appreciate it if you could keep this to yourself, Michimiya-san. And says that without even managing to look up from the floor. Oh man. Stock, I haven't seen this kind of thing before. Stress and pressure gets to everyone in different ways. I used to be the guy who throws up from the stress too when I was younger. I wanted to call out and try and say something, but no words come out. Instead, I watched the Akita walk out of the bathroom in silence, showing none of his usual energy. That's concerning. I decided to expunge all of this from my mind. Odds are, if I said anything to him again, he'd pretend like it never happened. I know because it's what I would have done in his place too. Pressure to act like everything is okay can be pretty suffocating sometimes. Mulling that scene in my mind, I finish dressing myself and walk outside. A few minutes later, I look around for a little while, trying to find the rest of my group amid the crowd. All they said in the messages was that they were inside the main building and waiting for me. You know, it would have been a lot easier to find you if you all waited for me by the entrance instead. After a little while, I finally managed to spot them, even being pleasantly surprised to discover that Aki and June had joined them while I was away. Oh, hey, you guys arrived. Thank God. I thought we wouldn't find you in time. Relax, we still have a good 15 minutes before things start. And it's chaos in here. You can't be too sure of anything. Keikun, you're being paranoid. He was like throwing up. When did you two get here? Just a few minutes ago. We met with Keisuke-san and Sayani while they were registering. Neat. How's the trip? No more accidents this time? We're here on time, aren't we? I guess that's fair. Good job, June. I place a hand atop the tiger's head, making a big thing out of petting him. June wiggles under my hand for a few moments before putting away, his face very clearly red. Don't talk down to me. It's not that big a deal. Aw, and here I wanted to praise you for not panicking in the bus again. You're impossible. I do try, yes. If you'll excuse us, though, we really need to get changed soon. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be late for my match. Don't need to be disqualified or anything. The men's room is mostly empty. Everyone seems to have changed already. Yeah, and Hayato-kun already headed there while we were looking for you, so he might have finished changing too. Go for it then. Be right back. Sai and Keikun quickly excuse themselves, walking off to the bathrooms in a half jog before disappearing out of sight. Man, this place really is packed even today. They blended into the crowd so fast. Did you hear anything from Shoichi-ni? Yeah, he's in class right now. He'll only be able to come during the afternoon. Aw, that sucks. Agreed. I'm trying not to think about it, though. Oh, sorry. You're fine. Don't worry so much about it. Today's just been one of those days. One of those days? What does that mean? Nerves? Aku quickly cuts right into the heart of the matter, having been able to guess what the problem was without a single clue on my part. I nod in agreement. Nerves? How did you... Saini was tapping her foot extra hard and Keisuke-san looked extra jittery, so I kind of figured. Wait, that's what that was? That's what was... I thought they were pumped, not nervous. So you noticed it too? I mean, it was hard not to. Huh. Most people don't tend to, though. At least not as far as Saini is concerned. Sai doesn't get visibly nervous all that often, so it's not that hard to notice. June thinking she's excited makes sense if you don't know her all that well. I guess so. What about you, Yuichi-san? Are you nervous? Not as much as Keisuke is, but yeah, I guess a little bit. It hits Sai and I today that this will be our last time in this particular competition. I guess that makes sense. By the way, you guys need to figure out what match you're going to watch first. Sai-chan and I will be playing at the same time today. We can just do what we did yesterday and split up. I'll watch your match while Jun-san can watch Saini's match. Are you sure you don't want to watch Sai-chan's match? You're my brother. Of course I'll prioritize watching yours. Aw, Aki, I knew you cared. Big brother is so happy right now. What's that weird grin on your face? That's creepy. It's nothing. Don't mind it. Weirdo. Even your needling isn't enough to knock my mood back down. In that case, I guess I'm going to be watching Mizuguchi-san's match alone. What? Keikun won't be playing at the same time as us, so I'm sure he can join you. That'd be selfish of me to ask. Keisuke-san will probably want to watch you play, since you're one of his possible opponents and everything. Yeah. Oh, I guess that's true. I hadn't considered that. Still, just so you know, I am an adult. I don't need to be chaperoned. I didn't say anything. I recognize the look on your face. I plead not guilty here, Your Honor. Well, that's not... I mean, I didn't... Hey, is that Keisuke inside there? Quickly, time to escape. Sometime later, I quietly stare at the wall while I wait for my heart rate to stabilize a little. At some point, I completely zoned out and lost track of my surroundings. My body started to move on its own as I chased after that little ball as fast as my legs could carry me. I place a hand on my chest, feeling it thump rhythmically inside, beating so hard that I can hear it in my ears, drowning out the sounds of the crowd. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat? I said this is your final warning. Proceed with your serve or you will lose a point. Well, what about the time violation? It has already been issued. You didn't respond to it. Oh, I'm really sorry. I completely zoned out. I take another deep breath, feeling my mind start to catch up once again. I didn't even realize that my brain had come to a screeching halt. I've been so focused on my own body that I completely shut down to the outside world. I look forward, looking for my opponent. The fox is standing behind the service line on the other side of the court, waiting for me to serve the ball. With a final deep breath to acknowledge the situation I am in, I toss the ball up in the air, choosing to forego my usual service routine due to lack of time. With the usual trained motion, I let my body move like a whip, transferring all that energy at the point of impact while trying to minimize wastefulness. All at once, the ball is fired forward from my racket, darting toward the other side of the court at an impressive speed. So fast, in fact, that the blur was hard for even me to follow. The fox barely manages to react. Since the shot bounced a little closer to center than I would have liked, the ball flew straight at him. Instead of sidestepping and hitting the ball back, the fox nearly trips backward, only managing to place his racket between him and the ball. Because of that, the ball merely ricochets off his racket, barely making it to my side of the court. I quickly run after it, hitting the ball toward the open side of the court while the fox scrambled to get back on his feet. He tries running after it, but is far too late. The ball soars past the service line after bouncing, sliding far away and out of reach. Game Michimiya, 5-love. Alright. While I'm a little worried by my sudden zoning out like that, my body's still moving how I want it to. No, scratch that. My body's moving even better than usual. There's no denying that I'm responding faster than normal today. My reflexes are sharp and on point, and my precision is also higher than normal. I'm being able to hit the ball a lot harder than I normally would, and still managing to keep it from sailing out of bounds. Fox tries his back to mount some kind of resistance during his own serve game, but I quickly move to attack it, using a mixture of strong flat shots and high bouncing spin shots to steal the points. He seems to be confident in both his forehand and backhand, but it's very clear he's not comfortable trying to deal with these kinds of heavy balls that cause him to strain every time he returns my shots. It becomes clear to me at least a few games ago that he was beginning to feel it in his wrists, which only caused me to ramp up my efforts to hit as hard as possible. I don't take any pleasure in causing another player pain or physical discomfort, but I'm in it to win. I can't afford to let an opportunity pass me by when I notice it. And because of that, before long, game, set, and match won by Michimiya. Count 6-2, 6-love. Yes! I fist pump as soon as the umpire calls out my final point, feeling the rush of adrenaline coursing through my body once again. I have an overwhelming urge to keep running around in circles to spend this excess of energy in me right now, but I instead make my way to the net where I exchange a handshake and a few brief words with the other player. That's my second and last match of the day. I almost feel a little sad thinking about it. I feel so energetic right now that I desperately want to play some more, but I also know it's not good to overwork myself, so I'll behave and step out of the court without making an issue about it. Once I finish putting my things away and wiping myself clean with my towel, I grab my bags and head out, joining my friends in the gallery. As soon as I see them, I immediately freeze upon noticing a face that wasn't previously there. Oh, Shoichi, you're here. Yeah, hi there, you. Oh yeah, Shoichi wasn't here yet when you left for your match, huh? I arrived halfway through the second set. Sorry I'm so late. Don't worry, it's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done about it. Still, I didn't want to miss both of your matches. Tomorrow, I'll make sure to get here in the morning. I promise. You don't have to be so gung-ho about it. Really, I don't mind. I mean, I do, but I'm trying to be mindful of Shoichi here. There's no point in making him feel guiltier about it if he's taking it this seriously. Especially because I know it's not really his fault. I appreciate you being so understanding, you, but we wouldn't be in this situation in the first place if I hadn't been so distracted lately that I messed up my schoolwork. Pretty sure I'm at least half responsible for that, though. Shoichi looks almost downright offended as soon as I say that. The look on his face is enough to make me flinch and step back on instinct. Don't say that! It's my fault for not balancing things better. I should be able to juggle having a personal life and schoolwork better. If not leaving my boyfriend on the back burner is enough to screw me over, then I'm doing something wrong. It seems I've gotten him so wound up that he doesn't even think about where we are before saying that out loud. Thankfully, other than a few random quick head turns, no one pays us much attention anyway. Aki's face twitches when he hears it, but he looks away and pretends like nothing is happening, which I'm thankful about. Boyfriend? Schoolwork? Not to mention your work as student council president, class representative, your college prep classes, your cram school, your former position in the volleyball club. Whose side are you on, Urushihara? Yours. That's why I'm mentioning the fact that you have a lot more on your plate than just boyfriend and schoolwork. That does sound like a lot. Are you even getting any sleep? Can we not get into this? Today isn't supposed to be about me. If you say so. Well, in that case, we should really get to Chinese matches. Things moved really fast in her court, and she ended up being called away just a few minutes after Shoichini arrived. Jun-san went with her and has been keeping us updated. Oh yeah, now that you mention it, she's not here, huh? She'd be pretty offended if she knew you forgot about her. I have other things in my mind right now. Should we get going? I don't want to miss too much of it. Can you just give me a second? I need something to drink. I think I just worked a little too hard there. I'll go buy you something at the vending machine. Are you sure? Of course. Be right back. I'm gonna go on ahead then. Kinda want to see her match, so I don't feel like waiting. Sure. Shoichi and Aki walk off in opposite directions, leaving only Keisuke and I standing here and waiting. Part of me feels a little disappointed to see Shoichi walking away so soon after arriving, but to stay quiet on that. Jesus, man, how clingy can you be that you're feeling sad about your boyfriend stepping away for a minute? Get a grip, Yuichi. You're not gonna go with Aki? I don't mind waiting a bit. Besides, I'd like to talk to you some more. Oh? If you don't mind me asking, what was going through your head back during the second set there? You zoned out for a moment. We were afraid you were going to get a point docked since you weren't answering. That. It's kind of embarrassing. I was feeling really good out there, so I started thinking about it. I ended up getting distracted thinking about how I was feeling. My heart was racing pretty hard, and I was enjoying the feeling. Plus, there was that slight tension in my muscles, the feeling of air going in and out of my lungs, the clarity of going on in my head. Guess I got a little drunk on those sensations and forgot about the rest of the world. Huh. That's very interesting. Indeed. My eyes quickly snap to the source of a familiar voice just in time to recognize him. A red panda walks up to the two of us, crossing his arms as soon as he comes to a stop, a smile on his face. Tanabe-kun? Hello, Yuichi-san. It's been a while. Yeah, it kinda has. Tanabe-san, were you listening in on us? I'm sorry, Urushihara-kun. I guess it might sound a bit like that. I assure you that I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I was coming over to say hello and happened to catch the tail end of your conversation. You're coming over to say hello? But why? You usually never do that. You remember me? Of course. I make it a point to remember the players that interest me. I interest you? Indeed, you have a very unusual style, one not too dissimilar from mine in certain areas. Besides, isn't it only natural to be interested by things you don't get to see often? At the very least, I've been tracking your progress ever since I saw your match against Kokonose during the Saitama Prefectural a few months ago. I was impressed. I don't know what to say. That's quite alright. If anything, I find it a bit of a shame how you were placed in the brackets for the competition. If luck had permitted, I would have liked to have the opportunity to play against all three of you. Yet we ended with a layout that makes it so I can only play against one of you. It's vexing. The three of us? You mean Yuya-kun too? Of course. He reminds me a great deal of you a few years ago. Made me look really forward to playing against him. Especially considering how you've been struggling in the past few years. That's a little harsh to say, isn't it? I know Tanabe-kun isn't the type to say things with malice. He's the type to bluntly state the truth, whatever it is. But you could dress it up a little? That is, of course, until now. Uh-oh? Your improvement since the prefectural stage a few months ago has been jaw-dropping. Seeing it has made me eagerly anticipate a chance for us to play again. I haven't felt this excited in quite a long time, to be honest. Whoa, that's not the kind of thing I expect to hear from him. At all? You think so? Absolutely. Watching your last match has only just confirmed it for me. I saw a glimpse of the Yuichi-kun I used to admire so long ago in there. I can't wait for a chance to play against you again. This might be a little rude on my part, but I truly hope you make your way to me in the finals, even if that means I don't get to play against Kokonose or Urushihara. No offense to you, of course, Urushihara-kun. None taken, I think? Keisuke's looking around, seeming so bewildered and unsure of how to respond. I don't exactly blame him. Tanabe-kun is pretty easygoing most of the time, but he gets downright intense when tennis is involved. Here you go, We're gonna leave off here tonight. stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.